Okay, we are here with Kendall Nead, a senior guard from Johnston, Iowa, with Milwaukee women's basketball. She is a Panther. Thank you so much for being here today, Kendall.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're in your fourth season, right, with Milwaukee?
Right.
So start every game last season, led the team in scoring. Start off this year, second team All Horizon preseason. Preseason's really cool, but this season you're pretty much building on what you did last year. Over 15 points a game right now, and then 11 points per game last season. So as fans, as people who play video games, you see player progression year by year. People seem to get better, but as a player, what causes that? What do you see that led to you jumping forward each season?
I mean, obviously, a lot of people talk about like the work you put in to get better, but I also think just getting used to the style of play, like by your fourth year, the game itself is a lot easier. You're used to playing this level and the speed. You're just, I mean, I guess you're just like used to it, like I said. So I
Yeah,
think that is the biggest factor into like adjusting points wise and stats wise.
yeah. I think the usual phrase is the game slows down. Is that
Yeah,
what it feels
yeah.
like?
I would say that that's pretty much exactly what it is. You come in as a freshman and the game feels so much faster and the people feel so much stronger. And then by your fourth year, you're that fast and you're that strong. So it feels exactly like that. Yeah, the game slows down.
And you're having a great season, but then looking through, just like going stat by stat, there's this line, this game at McNeese, whole team plays well, you guys win by about 20, but
Mhm.
this is like NBA Jam numbers. You're averaging 15, but you scored 38, 60% behind the three line. Like, what was going on that day?
Uh, To be honest, I usually put a lot of pressure on myself. I do have like a reputation on the team, but to be a scorer, and I think in that game I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go out and have fun with my team, and we did, and I just took open shots. To be honest, like nothing felt contested. They honestly didn't really adjust their defense at all. So just anytime the team passed me the ball, I was like, well, I think it's gonna go in. They think it's gonna go in. Might as well let it fly.
Yeah, and I mean, just I remember reading about some of the guys NBA history ever scored a lot of points. Sometimes it feels like there's guys forcing it. I think you know maybe it was Kobe trying to like get toward 100, but then there's times where everyone can just agree the player had it going on that day. It sounds
Yeah,
like it's more like the latter. No one intended for you to score 38, but you just had it going on.
I guess so. I just kind of felt like every shot was an open shot in that game.
And then when I first saw you play this season, I was down here and I was putting together a kid's toy for my kid. I had her asleep, and like lots of people, I went sports on. It was a Thursday
Mhm.
night, so I told you I'm in Pittsburgh. The Steelers were playing Thursday night that game, and instead I was watching you guys. I was watching Milwaukee women's basketball, and I tweeted out I just kind of started working with Horizon a little bit.
Yeah.
That there's a Milwaukee women's basketball player with 12 points in the quarter and a tattoo of a hammerhead shark on her leg, and I'm
Yeah.
supposed to watch Mitch Trubisky instead. Uh, so all respect to Mitch. I guess getting here in a roundabout way. Uh, what's up with the hammerhead shark tattoo? Is there a story behind that?
There is. I actually am planning on getting another shark, a whale shark, and the tattoo is essentially designed around the idea of being a strong woman. A hammerhead shark is typically an aggressive shark in the ocean, and that would be like my athlete side, kind of just lifting, going hardcore, being very intense. But then on the opposite spectrum, I'm getting a whale shark, which is one of the largest sharks, but also one of the most gentle
Mhm.
and kind, is what I would consider. So that represents kind of my softer, more feminine side. Um, so it's just kind of like the idea that um, the yin and yang essentially of
Sure.
sharks and the yang essentially of like female athletes and like strong women in general. That's really what the tattoo means. I only
That's
have the
awesome.
part right now though.
I mean, that's really cool too, especially tied into, I think the strength needed, I guess, to be obviously an athlete, but then I think there's more pressure sometimes on female athletes to prove more. Do you
Mhm.
think that's something that you experience or run into?
I would say that it takes a lot. It takes a lot more. I've been interviewed before and I refer to it as compassion because you could be doing the exact same thing as a male player and kind of just get brushed off to the side while the male player is getting like all the attention. But I think you just like have to work a little bit harder, produce a little bit more, stay confident, and stay hungry. And that basically is all you need to be at the level that they're at. And we're starting slowly to get more attention from it, the
Mm-hmm.
women on the women's side, which is super exciting to see. And like for younger generations, I'm super excited to see where that goes. But compassion, I think, understanding that it's going there, but it's obviously it's not a slow process.
Yeah, and I think whenever we talk about attention, especially at the college level, especially at the mid-major level too, that there's women NIL deals and men NIL deals. It feels like for men sometimes this is like a free agency almost.
Right.
Um, but that's not really the experience that women athletes have right now, even if they're putting up 38 against McNeese, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Me personally, I don't have a ton of experience with NIL, but I mean, I didn't there's not a lot of female athletes that I know in the Horizon League, especially outside of Youngstown. Shout out Youngstown because they do a great job.
they do.
Their basketball team, but I would say it's a lot easier even within my own university for men to just grasp on to what I would consider the more prominent NIL deals that are here.
Mm.
Like we have like sports bars, just asking them to come in and take pictures and the women's side even if we're doing better doesn't necessarily get that at the time. Right now we're kind of doing similar, but
Yeah.
i think I think it's not exactly balanced.
No, and I mean, without getting like too, I mean, I even hate to say like paternal, parental, anything like that. What was going through my head when you're talking about needing to do just a little bit more, you know, be just a little bit better. Um, yeah, that falls with basketball, and it's just something that that seems like it's something that women might have to do throughout life. I'm a girl dad, and it's something
Hmm.
I think about all the time. Just that that hammerhead shark mentality is going to serve you well. It's something you're going to need to hang on to for sure. And I really even hate jumping off this because this is so much fun, but I did want to talk about there is text on like each limb too for
Oh
tattoos. I hate to run off this, but I don't want to forget. Can you walk me through those too?
yeah, I have a lot of tattoos now. On my left leg, uh I'm a woman of God, so it says made in God's image. So that's just a reminder constantly that I'm not on my own, that God's kind of always taking care of me. On my right arm, I have a tattoo that says trust. And that's about, I wrote it in my own handwriting, and it's about
That's cool.
trusting the process. Kind of just understanding that if you're constantly just being your most authentic self, it'll happen for you. So just don't change yourself for anyone or anything, and just trust the process. And then I mean, I have a couple others, but some of them are just cute, pretty. um, I think on my left arm I have one for my mom. That's a stingray, and it's kind of a balance, having a balance between impulsivity and guidance, understanding where it's okay to like push the boundaries because you feel like it, and then also feel like you can lean on somebody. That is what that one means.
And just as an FYI, I seem to have lost you from a video standpoint. Okay, you're back. We got you. Okay, that's really cool. And I guess just getting back toward the hoops side of things too. Recruiting process is something where, again, we hear everything about men's every offer they get. Not always as well covered for women's basketball. So you're from Iowa, right? You
Mhm.
moved the state over across the river to Wisconsin and Milwaukee, into the Horizon League. But there's no conference team there in Iowa. So what was it about Milwaukee that kind of stood out to you?
In the recruiting process, I played for a couple different AAU teams growing up: Kingdom Hoops, All Iowa Tech, and Beyond Ball. And I kind of started a little bit behind everyone. I started going like between sixth and seventh grade, where I feel like a lot of other people started younger. So I was a little bit behind the curve and kind of trying to figure out what program would be able to get me where I wanted to go, with having been a little bit behind. And I think in the end, there was a tournament in Milwaukee that we played at in my last program that I was a part of. And I was actually jumping for a loose ball out of bounds, and I happened to fall in front of um, the GA at the time for Milwaukee. And she just decided that she wanted to stay and watch the game. And then one thing led to another, and I found myself in what I would consider my second family. Um, just the family atmosphere here really drew me. Once she watched that game and I got in contact with them, I think that was just why I ended up here. And I really do love the city. I love the beach on the Great Lakes. Uh, yeah, that's really just what kept me here.
Cool. And being from Iowa, being from the Des Moines area, there's obviously a couple schools right there. And you've got Iowa over in Iowa City. Ames isn't too far away either. So 2 hours from northern Iowa. Were any of these schools kind of in contact, or was it like Milwaukee all the way?
I didn't really want to play in Iowa, but it's not. Um, I didn't really. I was not really in contact with any of those schools. I think I almost got in contact like over the phone with you and I at one point, Northern Iowa. But like I said, I was a little behind the curve, and I don't think I was at that age ready to play for an Iowa or for an Iowa State.
Mhm.
Um, so I think what I was looking for was more on the mid-major side. Not that there wasn't. There was a couple larger schools that I won't
Sure.
drop names for, but there's a couple like bigger schools that were in contact with me. But I really wanted to make an impact. That was my goal, and I didn't think at the time that I was ready to go to this big school and make an impact right away like I wanted to.
And then, yeah, I mean, definitely not naming names. It's totally cool to keep that silent, but there's always stories about coaches like kind of promising ridiculous things to recruits. Um, Anything like that happened to you that you're okay sharing, or
Um, I'm trying to think. I don't think anything like crazy. There was one time where I was being recruited by an assistant coach, and I don't think that the head coach was really on the same page. So I had gotten to this visit, and it kind of seemed like the head coach like almost didn't know I was going to be there. So that was like an interesting experience for me. But I think that's like the wildest one. Everything that I've been I feel like on the women's side, they try not to promise things because they try to be as transparent as possible, at least in the schools that were recruiting me. Um, I I know here, like I wasn't really promised anything. I wasn't promised playing time. I wasn't promised anything except for a scholarship, I guess. And that's they leave it up to you. Like whatever you're willing to put in, they'll give you back. So
yeah, I mean, the scholarship um, is just awesome. I mean, it's really cool that you got this chance to go to a school like Milwaukee, which is obviously a really good one, and you're doing some really cool things academically. You have the kinesiology major still, right?
oh, would you like me to touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to talk about it. I actually recently got accepted into the athletic training program here at Milwaukee, so I'm
That's
super excited
cool.
for grad school.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, kinesiology has done a lot of great things. I've wanted basically since I was 12 to be an athletic trainer. So this is like outside of basketball always been my dream, my end goal to be. And it's kind of just like it's right in front of me and I'm super excited for it.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, just like I really am thrilled talking about playing school basically because I mean that's to me a lot of like the soul of college sports is basically you're you know playing basketball. There's not one person who's tuning in that doesn't know you're a great basketball player, but you're this student too, and you have these goals. You know, you're heading to grad school and everything. It's just so cool to have that opportunity. And you said you want to do this since you were 12. Kind of
Yeah.
what kicked that off?
I've been in a variety of sports my whole life. And when I was in middle school, I had the opportunity to train with for cross country and track with my high school teammates or soon to be teammates. And I got to spend some time in the training room with Johnston High School's athletic trainer. And he wasn't doing anything like super out of the ordinary, kind of just taping ankles, making ice bags. But the connections that he had with the athletes at the time, I just felt like there's not a lot of people in sports, which I always wanted to stay in sports when I was done. There's not a lot of people in sports that get to have that type of connection with an athlete where they fully just like trust you and they'll share with you, and you, as much as you're willing to, can self disclose as well. And I think it's just like it's an experience that like there's not a lot of in other professions, and it just really drew me to it.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like athletic training is one of these things where there's going to be some percentage of people that are saying an athlete, of course they're in athletic training, but I mean, wait a minute, you kind of get into what you see. So you've had
Hmm.
this opportunity because you've been in sports, and what you got out of it is that you're going to be able to connect with people for, I mean, the rest of your career. That
Right.
just like the connection you got from them.
Hmm. And I've had such great athletic trainers throughout my whole career of sports. So I think I've been following in the right footsteps, I guess. I haven't had any bad experiences at all.
And just as a heads up, you may know a little bit of this already, but healthcare obviously takes up a ton of time. It's really
Mhm.
vigorous. Um, did do you have any eligibility left after this year? With 2020, I can never keep the rules straight.
I do have 1 year of eligibility left. The plan is to not take it because I did get into grad school.
Hmm.
Um, with that being said, if opportunity came knocking at my door and I was able to travel the world to play the sport that I love, I don't think I would be able to say no. But the plan is to be done with college sports after this year. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So I guess kind of just sticking with that right now, what's the balance of student athlete life like? Do you think you have something approaching the normal experience, or is being an athlete, being a student athlete, something where it's like, this is its own ball game, separate from, you know, freshman A?
I think that being a student athlete is a really unique experience, and anything there's nothing really like it. I think you give 100% of yourself to your sport, but you also have to give 100% of yourself to school. And remember that you have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to take a shower, you have to spend time with family when you can, but you don't have a lot of that. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to make connections that aren't just in your sport. You have to build like this image that everything is okay, and sometimes it's not. So I think just it is its own thing. There's nothing else like being a student athlete. And I don't think that a lot of people really get to see some of the hard stuff that comes with it. I think that you get to see a lot of the exciting stuff and the successful performing and sometimes the fallout performing. But um, yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world, though. I would not.
Yeah, and I totally get what you're saying. Where as a fan, I'm going to see you play basketball. I'm going to watch how you do against Youngstown State, but I don't know that you had two tests that week and practice is in the morning, so you have to go to practice and go to class, but it's 2 days and then you're traveling after that. I think we
Hmm.
lose sight of that. I think a lot of times just watching casually, you don't really realize just how much you're doing to earn that scholarship.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I do think, however, that student athletes are probably the most prepared for the workforce because you are just expected to be on 10 100% of the time unless you're sleeping. So I think, I mean, it's hard work and it's exciting. Like you do what you love. So yeah, sets you up for success after college for sure.
Definitely. And I've been talking a big game about healthcare being vigorous. You're going to do great, because you know how to keep it at 11 all the time. You're going to handle this really well. So that's
I
yeah, of course. That's primarily what I had. I wanted to really go over with you. Do you have anything else that you want to make sure people know before I let you go?
hmm, I don't think I have anything super exciting. Um, not yeah, nothing crazy.
All right.
Big game to come. Watch Milwaukee women's basketball.
Absolutely. From one Panther different school alum to another. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck the rest of the way. And really, you're going to do great. Thank you very much for everything.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.